Hey everyone, welcome back to Stoic Pathways. I can already tell you're all tuned in, right? You're imagining a future with them, where you're making sacrifices, going the extra mile, maybe even putting aside your own dreams, because their happiness comes first. You're doing everything to make it work. But here's the kicker. They tell you they love you, yet their actions don't match their words. They forget what you've said, overlook your plans together, and somehow, despite all of that, they still claim to care. It feels like you're caught in a paradox, where what they say and what they do don't add up. Have you ever asked yourself whether they truly love you, or if they're just keeping you around because it's easy or convenient? Maybe they aren't as invested in the relationship as you are, or maybe they're just holding on to something that's already slipping away. And what if you're trying to connect with someone new, but they're ignoring you? The sting of being overlooked can be overwhelming, especially when you're putting your effort into building a real connection. But here's the truth. Sometimes their distance has nothing to do with your worth. And that's what we're diving into today. We're going to explore this confusing push-pull dynamic and uncover what's really going on beneath the surface. So, if you're ready to get to the bottom of their mixed signals and gain the clarity you deserve, hit that like button. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to read their actions and know what steps to take for your own peace of mind. Stick around. You won't want to miss this one. All right, folks, let's get real. If someone truly loves you, there might be a few reasons they pull away or seem distant. I'm about to break down the top 3 reasons, but here's the twist. We're not just stopping there. We're also going to look at the possibility that maybe, just maybe, they're sticking around because it's convenient, or because you've been nice to them. What if one day they decide to walk away? It's a tough reality to face, but it's one you need to prepare for. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. In relationships, just like in life, it's crucial to be ready for both the highs and the lows. We're going to cover everything from why they might love you, but still act distant, to the hard truth that maybe they're only staying because of comfort or convenience. But before we dive deep, let me remind you of something. No matter where they stand, the one thing we can control is ourselves, not them. And that's where Stoicism can truly help us. We're going to break down every angle, and by the end of this, you'll have the strength and clarity you need to face whatever comes next. Stay with me. This insight might just be the turning point that helps you reclaim your peace and power. And remember, no matter how tough things get, you have to stay strong. This lesson isn't meant to hurt your feelings. It's meant to remind you of your own resilience and inner strength. So, let's affirm this together. I stand strong. Drop it in the comments to declare that no matter what happens, you are grounded, unshakable, and committed to valuing yourself above all else. Let this be a reminder that you hold the power to face anything life throws at you. Now, let's talk about why they might be ignoring you, even if they do love you. Here are 3 possible reasons. 1, they show love in a different way. The first reason they might be distant, even though they truly care, comes down to this simple truth. They show love differently than you expect. Love languages vary, and not everyone expresses affection in the same way. You might crave constant verbal affirmations, regular check-ins, or quality time spent together. But for them, love might not look like texting all day or constant communication. They could be the type who shows love through subtle gestures, actions, or simply by showing up when it really matters. For instance, let's say you send them a text sharing something important, and hours go by without a reply. To you, it feels like indifference or a lack of care, but for them, this might be perfectly normal. They might prefer face-to-face conversations or believe that actions speak louder than words. In their world, love might not be about constant texting or checking in. It could be about showing up when you need them most. I've seen this scenario play out in real-life stories too. One woman shared her frustration about her partner hardly ever texting her back, and she interpreted it as a sign he was losing interest. But after talking it out, she realized he was someone who valued in-person conversations over texting. He expressed love through small acts of service, like bringing her favorite coffee or fixing things around the house. It's like 2 people speaking different languages. One is speaking English, the other is speaking French. Without a translation, misunderstandings can arise. They might think they're showing love by fixing your car or making you dinner. But if you're expecting frequent text messages or verbal affirmations, it can feel like they're emotionally distant. To To bridge this gap, it starts with understanding that people express affection in different ways. A helpful metaphor here is comparing love to a plant and a cactus. Some people's love is like a plant. It needs constant attention, care, and watering. Others are like cacti, steady, resilient, and don't require much maintenance. Just because they don't need constant reassurance doesn't mean they don't care. They just thrive differently. Now, while it's important to give them space to show love in their way, this doesn't always mean the relationship will last. Research shows that differing communication styles can lead to frustration, and sometimes partners can grow apart if they don't find a common ground. Not every relationship will be able to adapt to these differences, and that's okay. But if you believe in the foundation of your connection, giving them space to express love their way, while gently communicating your own needs can help. Patience and understanding are key, but they also have limits. If you're consistently feeling unfulfilled, despite your best efforts, it might be time to reevaluate. But again, that won't apply to everyone. Stay tuned, because we're going to keep exploring other reasons why they might be distant and how you can respond. Keep watching, because this is the kind of insight that can change how you approach love and relationships. Let's be honest, if someone truly loves you, they will often go out of their way to make sure you feel appreciated. They'll pay attention to the little things, remember the details, and show up in ways that speak directly to your heart. Most of the time, love is reflected in those small, everyday gestures that reassure us of our significance in their lives. So, if you're not feeling that kind of attention or connection, it could mean there's something else at play. Let's explore the next reason behind this behavior. 2. They fear losing their independence. The second reason why someone might pull away or ignore you, even if they love you, is that they fear losing their independence. For some people, being in a relationship can trigger a strong sense of vulnerability. The idea of being deeply committed to someone can feel overwhelming because they worry it might mean giving up parts of themselves. This fear doesn't come from a lack of care, but rather from a concern about losing their identity or freedom within the relationship. Think of someone who has spent years cultivating a life they love on their own terms. They've developed a sense of independence, made decisions by themselves, and shaped their routine around personal goals and passions. The thought of entering a relationship, especially one they truly care about, can feel like stepping into uncharted waters. They're afraid that too much closeness means sacrificing their personal space, routines, or the freedom to pursue their interests. One example from relationship forums illustrates this well. A man shared how he loved his partner deeply, but found himself pulling away from her attempts to get closer. It wasn't that he didn't care about her. He simply resisted the idea of losing touch with his own identity. He feared that deepening the relationship would mean giving up the autonomy he had worked so hard to protect. Over time, he learned to communicate this fear to his partner, helping her understand that his moments of emotional distance weren't a sign of rejection, but a way of preserving his sense of self. To put it another way, think of their independence as something they've guarded closely, a precious treasure. They've spent years protecting it, and now they're standing on the edge, looking at the possibility of love, but fearful of losing that independence if they dive in too deep. It's like they're saying, "I want to be with you, but I don't want to lose myself." This fear is especially common for people who have been single for a long time, or have previously been in relationships where they felt controlled or smothered. However, let's face it, if someone truly loves you, they will often find a way to make space for you in their life without feeling like they're giving up their independence. Genuine love doesn't demand that one person sacrifices their sense of self. Instead, it seeks a way to balance closeness and individuality. But here's an important reminder. This journey shouldn't be about trying to force them to change or hoping they'll come around. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, ourselves. As Marcus Aurelius famously said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When you understand that, you'll find strength. Instead of fixating on their fear of commitment or independence, focus on strengthening your own sense. Without a translation, misunderstandings can arise. They might think they're showing love by fixing your car or making you dinner. But if you're expecting frequent text messages or verbal affirmations, it can feel like they're emotionally distant. To bridge this gap, it starts with understanding that people express affection in different ways. A helpful metaphor here is comparing love to a plant and a cactus. Some people's love is like a plant. It needs constant attention, care, and watering. Others are like cacti, steady, resilient, and don't require much maintenance. Just because they don't need constant reassurance doesn't mean they don't care. They just thrive differently. Now, while it's important to give them space to show love in their way, this doesn't always mean the relationship will last. Research shows that differing communication styles can lead to frustration, and sometimes partners can grow apart if they don't find a common ground. Not every relationship will be able to adapt to these differences, and that's okay. But if you believe in the foundation of your connection, giving them space to express love their way, while gently communicating your own needs can help. Patience and understanding are key, but they also have limits. If you're consistently feeling unfulfilled, despite your best efforts, it might be time to reevaluate. But again, that won't apply to everyone. Stay tuned, because we're going to keep exploring other reasons why they might be distant and how you can respond. Keep watching, because this is the kind of insight that can change how you approach love and relationships. Let's be honest, if someone truly loves you, they will often go out of their way to make sure you feel appreciated. They'll pay attention to the little things, remember the details, and show up in ways that speak directly to your heart. Most of the time, love is reflected in those small, everyday gestures that reassure us of our significance in their lives. So, if you're not feeling that kind of attention or connection, it could mean there's something else at play. Let's explore the next reason behind this behavior. 2. They fear losing their independence. The second reason why someone might pull away or ignore you, even if they love you, is that they fear losing their independence. For some people, being in a relationship can trigger a strong sense of vulnerability. The idea of being deeply committed to someone can feel overwhelming because they worry it might mean giving up parts of themselves. This fear doesn't come from a lack of care, but rather from a concern about losing their identity or freedom within the relationship. Think of someone who has spent years cultivating a life they love on their own terms. They've developed a sense of independence, made decisions by themselves, and shaped their routine around personal goals and passions. The thought of entering a relationship, especially one they truly care about, can feel like stepping into uncharted waters. They're afraid that too much closeness means sacrificing their personal space, routines, or the freedom to pursue their interests. One example from relationship forums illustrates this well. A man shared how he loved his partner deeply, but found himself pulling away from her attempts to get closer. It wasn't that he didn't care about her. He simply resisted the idea of losing touch with his own identity. He feared that deepening the relationship would mean giving up the autonomy he had worked so hard to protect. Over time, he learned to communicate this fear to his partner, helping her understand that his moments of emotional distance weren't a sign of rejection, but a way of preserving his sense of self. To put it another way, think of their independence as something they've guarded closely, a precious treasure. They've spent years protecting it, and now they're standing on the edge, looking at the possibility of love, but fearful of losing that independence if they dive in too deep. It's like they're saying, "I want to be with you, but I don't want to lose myself." This fear is especially common for people who have been single for a long time, or have previously been in relationships where they felt controlled or smothered. However, let's face it, if someone truly loves you, they will often find a way to make space for you in their life without feeling like they're giving up their independence. Genuine love doesn't demand that one person sacrifices their sense of self. Instead, it seeks a way to balance closeness and individuality. But here's an important reminder. This journey shouldn't be about trying to force them to change or hoping they'll come around. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, ourselves. As Marcus Aurelius famously said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When you understand that, you'll find strength. Instead of fixating on their fear of commitment or independence, focus on strengthening your own sense of self-worth. They need to confront their fear of losing their independence on their own. You can't do that for them. Sometimes giving them the space to work through this fear allows them to come to terms with it in their own time. This space might even encourage them to open up to the relationship more fully. But remember, if they're not willing to let down their walls, even a little, it's not a reflection of your value. It's simply a sign of their own internal struggle. 3. They're struggling with personal challenges. The third reason why someone might ignore you, even when they genuinely love you, is that they could be dealing with personal struggles that have nothing to do with you. Life can sometimes feel like an overwhelming storm, and when someone is caught in it, whether it's internal battles like stress, anxiety, or self-doubt, or external pressures like work or family issues, they might become distant. Not because they want to push you away, but because they're just trying to stay afloat. Imagine someone standing in the middle of a storm, trying to hold on while the winds of stress and fear whip around them. When someone is in survival mode, their focus tends to shift toward just getting through the day. Expressing love or nurturing a relationship can feel like an added burden during these times, rather than a source of comfort. Despite their deep care for you, they might struggle to connect emotionally because they're consumed by their own personal challenges. For instance, one woman shared in an online forum that her partner became distant after losing his job. He stopped calling as often, seemed distracted, and didn't talk much about his feelings. She assumed this was a sign that he was losing interest, but when they finally had a conversation, he admitted that his silence wasn't about her. It was about his own internal battle. He had been feeling ashamed and overwhelmed by the loss of his job and the struggle to rebuild his confidence. In his mind, dealing with his personal issues had to take precedence over the relationship, even though he still deeply loved her. This is a crucial point to remember. When someone withdraws, it doesn't always mean they're losing interest. It might just be that they're dealing with their own internal storm. Their distance is not a reflection of how they feel about you, but a reflection of what they're going through personally. Understanding this can help you separate their emotional distance from any personal insecurity you might feel. Instead of seeing their silence as rejection, try to see it as a reflection of the personal battles they're fighting. Sometimes, just giving them the time and space to handle their struggles can make all the difference. And when they're ready, they'll come back to the relationship with more openness. Now, I know you're probably wondering, what if they're just not interested anymore? That lingering fear can be hard to shake, and it's natural to wonder whether your partner's distance means their feelings have changed. But remember, the reasons for emotional distance don't always have to do with your worth or the relationship itself. Sometimes it's just about the timing and the internal struggles they're facing. Stay with me, because in the next section, we'll explore how to deal with those lingering doubts and what steps you can take to ensure that you're valuing yourself no matter what. It was the result of his inner turmoil. By recognizing that his withdrawal was temporary, she was able to offer him the space he needed to work through it without taking it personally. In relationships, it's easy to interpret distance as a reflection of our value, but often it's not about us at all. Sometimes the person we care about is simply struggling with their own issues. Think of their silence as a wave pulling back before it comes crashing forward again, stronger than before. Occasionally, they need to retreat to gather their strength, regain their composure, and find their balance before they can fully reconnect with you. Your patience and understanding can act as a lighthouse, guiding them through their emotional storm and reminding them that love and support await them when they're ready to return. Of course, there's a balance to be found. While it's important to show compassion and give them the space they need, you also must hold on to your own sense of worth. As Stoicism teaches us, we cannot control their journey, only our response to it. As Epictetus wisely said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. In other words, while they may be dealing with their internal battles, your focus should be on your own well-being. Be there for them when they reach out, but don't stop living your life in the process. Your strength and resilience are your responsibility, but here's an important point. If someone truly loves you, they will make an effort to share, even if just a little, what they're going through. They might not spill every detail, but there will be signs, small gestures, or words that let you know you're still an important part of their world. However, if they continue to remain distant without offering even the smallest insight into what's going on with them, it may be time to reconsider whether they are ready for the kind of emotional connection a relationship demands. It's a difficult realization, but maintaining your self-worth and setting boundaries isn't just about protecting yourself. It also allows them to confront their own struggles without the added pressure of constantly reassuring you. Now that we've explored why someone might ignore you, even if they love you, let's address that nagging fear we all have. What if they're just not interested anymore? This is a tough thought to face, But understanding this possibility can give you the clarity you need to protect your heart and move forward. Stick with me, because we're about to dive deeper into how to recognize the signs, understand what they mean, and empower yourself to make the best choices for your future. Sign number 1. They're consistently unavailable when you need them. The first big red flag that might suggest they're not truly invested is when they're constantly unavailable when you need them. Picture this. You've had a long, exhausting day, and you're feeling down. All you want is a comforting word from the person you care about. But when you reach out, they're always too busy. They may say they're tired, caught up in something, or that they'll get back to you later. But later never comes. When someone is genuinely interested, they find ways to show up for you, even in the smallest ways. But consistent unavailability is a clear sign that their priorities might not be aligned with yours. Imagine a scenario where you've put in the effort to check in on them, support them, and be there when they need you. But when the tables are turned, they're nowhere to be found. This lack of reciprocity can leave you feeling unnoticed and unsure of where you truly stand in the relationship. Relationships aren't about being there 24/7, but they're about showing up when it counts. If someone cares about you, they'll make the effort to be present during your difficult moments. Here's a real example from a relationship forum that highlights this perfectly. One woman shared how she often felt neglected by her partner, who was only ever present when he needed something from her. She supported him through tough times, but when it was her turn to lean on him, he was nowhere to be found. Over time, she came to the painful realization that his lack of availability wasn't because he was busy. It was because he simply didn't care enough. His unavailability was a sign of his lack of commitment, not his schedule. The ability to show up for someone is a clear reflection of respect and commitment, the two pillars of any healthy relationship. But Stoicism offers us a different perspective. Instead of fixating on their unavailability and letting it chip away at your confidence, focus on what you can control, your own resilience. As Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Rather than allowing their inconsistency to affect your self-worth, use it as a reminder to cultivate inner strength. Recognize your own value and make choices that reflect that value. If they're not showing up, it's time to stop waiting and redirect that energy toward yourself. If you're feeling unimportant or neglected, take this as a chance to prioritize yourself. You can affirm, their unavailability does not define me. Write it down, say it out loud, or share it in the comments below to commit to honoring your own worth. These lessons aren't meant to hurt you. They're here to build your strength and resilience. By affirming your value, you're reinforcing the truth that you deserve someone who shows up for you, just as you do for them. Someone who truly values you will show up, not just when it's easy, but especially when it matters. If they're not showing up, don't wait around for them to realize your worth. Recognize it within yourself. Sign number 2. Their actions rarely match their words. This is the one that really hits hard. When someone's actions rarely match their words, it's one of the clearest signs that something is off. If you've ever been in this situation, you know exactly how frustrating it can be. They tell you that they care, that you're important to them, that they're committed to the relationship, but when it comes time to act, their behavior doesn't reflect those promises. They promise to spend more time with you, to show up when you need them, or to be there for you, but somehow their actions fall short. Words without action are meaningless, and over time, this disconnect can start to wear you down. You begin to question not only their commitment, but even your own worth. Imagine someone who says, "You mean the world to me," but never follows through on their promises. They might say they'll call at a certain time, but never do. They might make plans and back out at the last minute. It's like they're building a bridge halfway across a river and leaving you stranded on the other side. Each broken promise is like another crack in the foundation, making it harder for you to trust them and leaving you feeling more alone in the relationship. There's a real story from a relationship forum that perfectly illustrates this. A man was in a long-distance relationship where his partner constantly talked about moving closer, about making plans for their future together, and reassured him of her love. Yet, every time the opportunity came to take action, whether it was a move, a visit, or a serious conversation, she always found an excuse. Over time, he realized that her words were just comforting promises, but her actions showed no real commitment. His relationship became built on hopes rather than on solid reality. Think of words and actions as the branches and roots of a tree. Words are the branches. They reach out, provide shade, and make us feel connected. But without roots, the branches can't survive. Actions are the roots. They anchor the promises, giving them strength to grow. If someone truly cares, their actions will reinforce their words, creating a balance that makes you feel secure and valued. Without that alignment, you'll only feel like you're being strung along, waiting for something real to take root. When someone's actions don't align with their words, it leaves you feeling unsteady, like you're standing on unstable ground. This is where Stoic wisdom can offer some real guidance. Rather than holding on to their promises alone, take a hard look at the truth of their actions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone shows me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." This quote encourages us to confront situations for what they truly are, not as we wish them to be. If their actions are telling a different story than their words, trust what you can see and let go of the illusions that keep you holding on. If you're caught in a struggle between their promises and their behavior, remember this. Words don't define me. Say it aloud, write it down, and yes, drop it in the comments as a pledge to embrace reality for what it is. This affirmation isn't just for you, it's a message for everyone here to build a community of resilience, where actions are the true measure of commitment. Let this serve as a reminder that you deserve consistency, honesty, and someone who shows up with more than just empty words. If you're with us on this journey, drop stories. Words don't define me in the comments to let us know you're choosing clarity over confusion, embracing self-worth over empty promises, and standing strong. Now let's move on to the next sign that might shed light on where you truly stand in the relationship. Sign number 3, they show no genuine interest in your life or goals. Another key sign that someone may not be as invested as they claim is when they show no real interest in your life, dreams, or aspirations. When someone cares about you, they naturally want to know what drives you, what excites you, and what you're working toward. They'll ask questions about your goals, celebrate your successes, and support your journey. But if they only seem engaged with their own world and rarely show interest in your ambitions, it could be a sign that their involvement in the relationship is shallow. Picture this. You're excitedly sharing a personal achievement, like a promotion you're working toward, a new passion project, or even a small hobby you're starting. Instead of enthusiasm or support, you get silence, a dismissive comment, or they quickly change the subject. Over time, this indifference can make you feel like your dreams and goals aren't important, or worse, like you don't matter at all. In a healthy relationship, both partners should be each other's biggest cheerleaders. But if your partner doesn't seem to care about what makes you come alive, it could indicate that they're only interested in surface-level companionship. One user in a relationship forum shared a story where her partner was always dismissive about her career goals. She supported him through his endeavors, but when it came to her own dreams, he would brush them off as unimportant. Eventually, she realized that this lack of interest wasn't just about personality differences. It pointed to a deeper issue in their relationship, a lack of emotional depth. Think of interest and support as the sunlight and water a plant needs to grow. Just as a plant needs both to thrive, relationships need mutual encouragement to flourish. When someone genuinely loves you, they take joy in seeing you evolve. They offer you that metaphorical sunlight by taking an interest in your goals, and they provide the water by showing up, whether that's offering help or simply cheering you on. When they don't, it's like a plant being starved of sunlight and water. The relationship can become stifling, leaving one person feeling emotionally malnourished. In times like these, Stoicism offers us a powerful lesson. Instead of internalizing their lack of interest, focus on what brings you joy and fulfillment. As Epictetus wisely said, know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. Your ambitions, dreams, and goals are a part of who you are. Don't let anyone make you feel that they're not worth pursuing. This is your life, and you have every right to chase what makes you feel alive, with or without their encouragement. If you feel overlooked or unsupported, remind yourself of this. I don't need their approval. Say it out loud, write it down, and yes, drop it in the comments as a declaration to honor your own goals. This affirmation is not just for you. It's a message to everyone here that your dreams matter and are worthy of love, attention, and commitment. Stand firm in knowing that you don't need someone else's validation to pursue what lights you up. If you're with us, drop "I don't need their approval" in the comments to show that you're choosing self-respect over indifference and embracing the full value of your aspirations. Sign number 4. They avoid future plans or commitments. The next sign that might reveal where you stand in the relationship is if they consistently avoid making future plans or commitments with you. When someone sees a future with you, they'll naturally include you in their plans, whether it's a weekend getaway next month, a family event, or long-term goals like moving in together or traveling the world. But if they hesitate, constantly sidestep conversations about the future, or get uncomfortable when commitments are discussed, it could indicate that they're unsure about their long-term commitment to you. Imagine this. You're excitedly discussing a trip you've always dreamed of taking together, or talking about celebrating a big anniversary. But instead of joining in your excitement, they seem distant, dismissive, or start making excuses to avoid the topic. Or maybe they're fine with short-term plans, but the moment you bring up anything more serious, like a weekend away or meeting each other's families, they get defensive or back out. Over time, this pattern can leave you feeling uncertain about where the relationship is heading and questioning whether or not they're truly invested. A woman shared a story in an online forum that sheds light on this behavior. Her partner would agree to last-minute plans, but whenever she brought up anything that involved commitment beyond a few days, like meeting family members or planning a long trip together, he would deflect. He claimed it was too soon, or that he wasn't ready to think about it. Eventually, she realized that his reluctance wasn't just about timing, it was a clear sign that he wasn't serious about a future with her. She decided to step away, choosing her own peace of mind over the uncertainty he was causing. Think of commitment like building a house together. When two people are genuinely interested in a shared future, they'll lay down bricks, one by one, toward building something solid and lasting. But when someone avoids future plans, it's like showing up to the construction site empty-handed, unwilling to contribute to the foundation. This lack of investment leaves you with an incomplete structure, an unstable and uncertain relationship. In moments like these, Stoicism provides us with valuable guidance. Rather than clinging to the hope that they will change or that things will get better, focus on the reality of the situation. As Seneca once said, it's the power of the mind to be unconquerable. When someone avoids commitment, take it as a signal to reclaim your power. Protect your time and energy from being poured into a relationship that may not offer the future you deserve. If you find yourself constantly waiting for them to take the next step, remind yourself of this: I rise above their drama. This affirmation is not just a mantra, it's a reminder to take control of your happiness. Say it aloud, write it down, and drop it in the comments to show that you're choosing self-worth over uncertainty. Stand tall, knowing you deserve someone who is excited to plan a future with you, not someone who treats you like a temporary option. If you're on this journey with us, drop "I rise above their drama" in the comments to show that you're committed to your own value and ready to seek a partnership where you're not left in doubt. Now, let's continue exploring the next sign that could reveal even more about where you stand. Sign number 5. They don't make an effort to resolve conflicts. The fifth and final sign that someone may not truly be invested in the relationship is if they don't make any effort to resolve conflicts. Disagreements are natural in any relationship, and they often provide opportunities for growth and understanding. When both partners are committed, they'll engage in open communication, listen to each other's concerns, and work together to find solutions. But if your partner avoids difficult conversations, dismisses your feelings, or refuses to compromise, it's a clear sign that they may not be as committed as they claim. Imagine this. You bring up a concern. Maybe you feel neglected, or there's something bothering you that you need to address. Instead of listening and trying to understand, they shrug it off, get defensive, or even turn the blame back on you. Over time, this can make you feel unheard, undervalued, and even question whether you're overreacting. In a healthy relationship, both partners should care enough to engage in tough conversations, apologize when necessary, and work toward resolving issues. But when someone refuses to put in that effort, they're prioritizing their own comfort over the well-being of the relationship. One man in a forum shared how his partner would stonewall him whenever he brought up a problem, leaving the room or dismissing his concerns entirely. This made him feel emotionally abandoned, and over time, he realized that a one-sided effort could never create a fulfilling relationship. He chose to prioritize his own peace and stepped away. Think of conflict resolution as tending a garden. Problems are like weeds that inevitably pop up in any relationship. Both partners need to work together to pull those weeds, nurturing the relationship so it can thrive. When one person avoids engaging, it's like letting the weeds overtake the garden, leaving it neglected and unhealthy. In moments like this, remember the Stoic lesson. You can't control the other person's actions, but you can control your own response. If you're in a relationship where conflicts go unresolved, remind yourself of this. I deserve someone who values resolution. Write it down, say it out loud, and drop it in the comments to affirm that you're committed to a relationship built on mutual understanding, respect, and compromise. By embracing these Stoic principles, you'll become more resilient and better equipped to navigate your relationship, wherever it may lead. When one person refuses to engage in resolving conflicts, it's like letting weeds grow unchecked in a garden. Over time, these weeds will take over, suffocating any chance for true connection and growth. Without mutual effort to address issues, the relationship becomes a breeding ground for resentment rather than healing. Stoicism offers a clear lesson here. We can't control others, but we can control how we respond. If someone refuses to participate in resolving conflicts, it's important to step back and reflect on whether this relationship is really benefiting you. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. If they're unwilling to meet you halfway, let that be your cue to refocus your energy elsewhere. If you find yourself constantly carrying the weight of resolving issues on your own, remind yourself, I deserve peace. This isn't just an affirmation, it's a declaration that you deserve a partner who listens, respects your voice, and is willing to work together to strengthen the relationship. Say it out loud, write it down, and yes, drop it in the comments as a pledge to protect your own peace and boundaries. If you're walking this path with us, drop it I deserve peace in the comments to show that you're choosing self-respect over conflict, prioritizing your well-being, and embracing the strength to move forward without constantly battling to be heard. Now, let's dive into the final sign that might shed light on where you really stand in the relationship. Sign number 6. They only reach out when it's convenient for them. The last sign that could indicate a lack of genuine commitment is if they only reach out when it's convenient for them. If you notice that they show up in your life only when it suits their schedule, needs, or emotions, that's a clear sign they might not be fully invested in a balanced, healthy relationship. A true connection requires consistent effort from both sides, not just when it's easy or comfortable. Picture this. You've made time for them, supported them when they needed it, and prioritized the relationship. But when the tables are turned and you're the one who needs support, whether you're having a tough day, seeking advice, or just wanting to share something important, they suddenly become too busy or unavailable. Then, just as you start to accept their distance, they reappear as if nothing ever happened. This kind of inconsistency can leave you feeling used, unimportant, and questioning whether your relationship is really reciprocal. A story shared online illustrates how hurtful this behavior can be. One person shared that their partner would disappear for days without communicating and only reach out when they needed something, whether it was emotional support or a favor. At first, they made excuses, hoping it was just a phase. But over time, they saw a clear pattern. Their partner only sought connection when it benefited them, not out of genuine care or interest in being there. This realization helped them understand that a true relationship should be about mutual care and effort, not just convenience. Think of connection as a two-way street. When someone truly values you, they're willing to travel that street with you, regardless of time, circumstance, or convenience. They reach out not just when it benefits them, but because they genuinely care. But when their communication is solely on their terms, it's like you're just a stopover on their journey, not a valued partner. Stoicism offers a powerful reminder here. We can control our responses, our boundaries, and our self-worth. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. When someone's actions don't align with your needs, it's time to refocus your energy where it's valued and respected. Don't wait around for someone who's only present when it's convenient for them. Instead, Prioritize your well-being and honor your worth. If you're feeling undervalued or used, let this affirmation guide you. I am better independent. Say it out loud, write it down, and yes, drop it in the comments as a commitment to valuing yourself and setting higher standards for how you deserve to be treated. This is about reinforcing your own self-worth, not just pointing out someone else's shortcomings. If you're with us on this journey, drop "I am better independent" in the comments to show that you're standing firm in your worth, prioritizing relationships where you're genuinely valued, and embracing the strength to thrive on your own terms. Let this final sign remind you that you deserve respect, consistency, and true commitment. To wrap it all up, remember that these signs aren't meant to make you feel discouraged. They're meant to help you see your relationships clearly and make choices that align with your worth. When someone truly values you, their actions will show it consistently. They'll be there for you in the good times and the tough moments. They'll make you feel seen, and they'll work through challenges with you. If any of these signs resonate, it's a signal to shift your focus back to your own growth, peace of mind, and happiness. You deserve someone who's truly present, not just when it's easy, but when it really matters. If you found these insights helpful, let us know how valuable this video was by dropping a number from 1 to 10 in the comments. And don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more empowering content, and share this with someone who could use a reminder of their worth. Stay strong, stay independent, and keep valuing yourself above all. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.